So we're just shy of 100,000 kilometers. This morning we're going to actually go in there and have another look at these front wheel bearings. I've been in here once in that 100,000, but I repacked and reused what was there. Whereas this time, Michael sent me new bearing kits. So we'll get into it. I remove the freewheeling hub before I take the wheel off, and I loosen off that 14mm nut. I like to do mine both at the same time. Gives me an opportunity also to rotate the wheels left to right. So I do put it on chassis stands, just as a safety precaution. But already I can see the salt water work that we do rearing its ugly head. That disc isn't that old. And even the inside of the rims are starting to get a lot of surface rust on them. I guess the price we pay for the beach holidays we do. But I'm just looking at my notes, and it looks like the front brakes and bearings in here was all done 17,000 kilometers ago. Circlip pliers. There's a circlip holding that hub on. And then the easiest way to get the cone washer out is a small screwdriver through the gap, twist it, and they pop out. There's a little groove in them. So we remove all of those, 6 of those, and then we'll pull this hub off. Now 17mm socket is what you're going to need to get the caliper off. So there's 2 bolts, one at the top, one at the bottom. It's the bottom bolt. The 2 bolts out, just remove the caliper. Sit it up on the tie rod there. Be careful not to damage it. All the mud we got here everywhere. Okay, so sit the caliper safely on something, make sure it doesn't fall and that you don't crimp this brake line. And now we're going back to work on the disc. So on the disc, we've got 2 54mm nuts and a lock washer that sits in between them. So first job is to unlock the lock washer. Okay, so we've got one that way. That's it. So now 54mm socket, we're undoing that first one. Put it aside. Second nut should be able to come off by hand. Got a lot of kilometers to do over the next month. Quite a few trips. A lot of towing as well. So I just wanted these to be right. Off. Now we just pull that out. And there you have it. The disc is out. Now apart from the surface rust in there, the ABS reader looks quite clean. Now last time we had issues where this filled up with mud inside there, and then the ABS would do funny things at low speed because it wasn't properly reading it. So while we're in here, we'll give that a good clean up. Now this becomes a very messy job, so a bit of a tip, prepare yourself with a lot of rags. Don't scrounge, the more the better. Trust me, it gets messy. Plus we've got to clean all this old grease out of the disc hub. Looking good, 17,000 Ks on them, they're looking real good, I'm happy with that. So the plan is to change the bearing and the race, the inner and outer. The outer one's quite easy, you just pull it aside, put it away. We're going to need that front washer. And then the rear one, we need to pop that seal out. So I'll show you how to do that. I've decided to mix things up today and I'm going to pack all 4 bearings all in the one go. Tedious job. And then I can just have them put aside for when I need each one. Get dirty once, I say. Use all the rags up. So to get all the grease out, obviously rags, lots of rags. But I find I've got 2 pieces of like 5x5 timber that the disc will sit on without the studs touching the ground. Have a towel underneath because all the grease comes out. You want to try and find that step on the race. So that's what we're going to hit. At this side and then the opposite side there's the same lip. So we want to hit that until that race comes out. Hit evenly. One hit, one hit, one hit, one hit. And then we'll turn it over and we'll get the seal and the other side out. I think that's it. So that's pushed the race up to the surface. I'll keep these as spares. And we want to hit the race right there. With this one, the seal's actually holding the bearing in, so once the seal pops out, the bearing will drop out too. So we've hit that twice, and the seal's come out with the bearing. Now we just got to knock the race out. So now we have a bearingless and raceless disc. So it's just a matter of clean, 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 and we'll knock the new races in. New front race, we just sit it in, push it down as far as we can by hand. Then we need to clean up the old race because we're going to use that as a battering ram. This is the old race, and we're going to sit it fat side down. Now the reason for that is so we can hit it back the other way on that lip. So what we're going to do now, we're just going to concentrate on tapping that until that first race seats home. Good old carpenter fashion, I've got an old bit of balustrating off cut. I'm just going to use that. So that's the old race, the new race is sitting in there. We're just going to nicely tap it in. So we need that first race to go all the way down, which it's not at the moment. So what we'll do is we'll take the other race and use that on top of this one as well. Second, this is the old race from the other side now. We didn't need to go far. Okay, I think it's home, feels home. So I think we're good to go, and then that one can come out too. We can always knock it out from the other side. Yep, that's home. Definitely home. The rear one the same, and with the piece of timber I've used, I had that notched out for the front, and I can just use the flow section for the rear. Again, we get the old race. So this time, I'm okay to use a hammer straight on the old race. We're home with that second one. And now we can fit the bearing in and put the seal on. Now that cavity in there between the two races, I want to flushly fill that full of wheel bearing grease before I sit that bearing in. Like so. Like you're doing a bit of pottery. Then I'll get a bit of timber and I'll even that out before we sit that bearing in. Big bearing that we packed earlier. I sit him in his race. Clean it up a bit. Now on the comp truck, and even on the 4Runner where it doesn't drive a lot, I'd reuse that seal. So it was tapped out without being damaged. But because this is the main vehicle of ours and it tows all the toys and you know it does a lot of kilometres, I'll put a new seal in. Michael gave me one, so I may as well use it. Now with this seal, the back race, clean that up a bit. The back race fits perfectly over that seal to tap it in without damaging the rubber seal. So that's quite handy. So I mean, if you're handy with tools, this isn't that hard a job. The hardest part's probably getting it all apart and clean, which is a tedious job. But I wouldn't say it's difficult. Alright, so we've got that seal just sitting on the housing, and we've got the old race there. Now I need my bit of timber back to be able to get one clean hit just to start it all off. Okay, we've got a start on it. Okay, we can do away with the timber now and just use the race. There we have it. So this disc is almost ready. The little bearing goes on the inside face, and now we can sit this back. After we've cleaned it, we can sit it back on the hub. All right, clean, clean, clean. We're all clean. We're gonna throw this back in, pop that back seal on. There you go, with your fingers. We'll just throw the one nut on there, hand tight, so that we can put the caliper back on. 64mm socket. Alright, that's hand tight now. You can hear that lovely grease rolling around. Alright, let's get the caliper on. So next move for me, and there's lots of different ways to do this part, is wheel on. I like to actually feel the bearing as well as torque it myself. I know a friend of mine, he's a mechanic by trade, and he can just do them both up and then put the wheel on at the end. But I'm more of a feel kind of guy. Alright, so that back nut, for me it's torqued up. We get a couple of new ones of these in the kit. We may as well use them. There's nothing wrong with the old ones, but we'll use these ones, keep the old ones as a spare. We sit this in. Take the second nut. Lock tab washer. There's a fair bit of dirt and gunk in here too. I found it a bit difficult to get the hub off actually, so we'll give this a good clean up as well. Cone washers first. Flat washer. Then our 14mm nuts. Another important thing is don't forget to put the circlip washer back on. And this hub up as well, the freewheeling hub, and bolt that up. Just don't over tighten these little guys either. There we have it guys, new bearings. I know I'm good for another 30,000-40,000 kilometers. With that particular bearing I'll nip them up after 20. I've rotated these tyres, so not sure how they'll drive for the first few hundred kilometers. I'm sure they'll be noisy. The only thing left to do now is jot it down in the journal, in the 79 Bible. So in the next video I make on the 79, it's going to be a review on these 700 kilo constant parabolics. I've had a couple of questions set my way. I'm going to do a review. I've had them a year now, so I've had them long enough to be able to judge them. I'll show you footage of them off-road, footage of them towing. If you'd like to see that one there, please subscribe for notification. But the bearings are done now, so we're all good for another 15,000-20,000 Ks. Thanks for watching.